Smugglers and crooks from all over the world go to extreme lengths in order to sneak in their illegal goods. Each and every day, border security agents from the USA to Australia and everywhere in between uncover some truly bizarre things, poorly hidden in suitcases, disguised as something else, or even strapped to the smugglers' bodies. From color-changing live animals to an entire airplane, there really is nothing that the TSA hasn't seen. What you're about to witness is merely a snippet into the long list of weird and wacky things to pass through border security. We've all made the same joke to our friends at one stage or another. They're about to set off on a wild adventure to some exotic Caribbean island and bathe in the sun, so you fleetingly beg them to squeeze you in their suitcase. Apparently for some, this idea is far more a reality than a joke. In 2015, a Frenchman was caught trying to smuggle his Russian wife into France by squeezing her into an oversized suitcase. The man, who officials say was in his 60s, had his plan foiled at the European Union border by Polish border guards in the town of Tiraspol, next to Belarus. That's right about here. When the border guards opened the suitcase, to their surprise, they didn't find wrinkled shirts and bundled up socks. They found a young woman in her 30s. The couple faced up to 3 years in jail for attempting to avoid border control. Here's the kicker, though. There was no need to smuggle the wife inside the suitcase in the first place. According to immigration law, all non-EU citizens can visit Poland freely provided they prove that they are married to an EU citizen. So, had she just taken a seat next to her husband and not attempted to contort herself inside hand luggage, she would have crossed the border without a worry in the world. The island nation of Australia takes their border security very seriously. Heck, there's even a number of TV shows about it. People have been caught trying to sneak in all kinds of bizarre goods over the years. However, perhaps no incident was as perplexing as the one involving Sharon Naismith in 2005. After the woman arrived in Melbourne off a flight from Singapore, when going through a routine customs check, border officials claimed that they heard a flipping noise coming from the vicinity of her waist. Their suspicions were proven to have merit once they found a custom-made apron tied around her waist, and within the apron's pockets were a total of 51 tropical fish, spread out in numerous plastic bags, valued at more than $30,000, and they were all still alive and swimming. One of these fish was an endangered Asian arowana, which can be imported only with a permit, of course. Naismith didn't have a permit, so she faced significant penalties. She pleaded guilty to 3 offenses under the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, and according to NBC, faced a fine of up to $83,000 with a maximum potential prison sentence of 10 years. From the land down under, we're switching hemispheres and heading up to Berlin's busy Schönefeld Airport, where a 69-year-old man who just stepped off a flight from Cairo on March 2, 2019, tried to disguise some wildlife in a rather obscure way. The man intended on leaving the security area through the Nothing to Declare line, but his plan was thwarted when border guards decided to inspect his luggage. Within the bags, they uncovered what appeared to be a package of baked goods. Although, as you can see, they didn't look quite like your average custard tart. When officers inquired as to its contents, the smuggler claimed that they were uniquely decorated chocolates. As soon as they opened the box, however, they realized that he and his pastry box was full of lies. Chocolate cakes? None. Live Moroccan tortoises? Yep, 3 of them. Since Moroccan tortoises are protected by an International Trade Endangered Species Act called the Washington Convention, they were confiscated and placed in the care of the border veterinarian. Breaking these species protection laws is punishable by a fine of up to €50,000 or $55,000, with the potential of up to 5 years behind bars. For whatever strange coincidental reason, customs officials have witnessed pastries as a cover-up time and time again. In April of 2015, an Italian man raised a lot of suspicion at the German border when he attempted to smuggle in a Christmas cake packed to the brim with cold hard cash. Why would you be eating Christmas cake in April? Surely it'd be stale and moldy some 4 months down the road. Well, that's exactly the same question that the border officers had. Baked into the stale festive treat was €250,000. On other occasions, cash has been found hidden inside hollowed-out croissants. German customs agents actually managed to foil a much larger money laundering operation after finding euros stuffed inside these buttery crescents. Meanwhile, at Delhi Airport in India in early 2020, the equivalent of $60,000 was found wrapped up inside individual peanuts. At least they're getting creative. In America, if you're stopped by a U.S. Customs and Border Protection officer and you're sneaking in more than $10,000 undeclared, you run the very real risk of having every penny of it seized. We've seen a lot of contraband snuck in using various foods as a disguise, but what if the food itself isn't allowed? In November of 2019, U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers searched a Chevrolet pickup truck and wound up making a rather bizarre seizure. Some bologna was confiscated at the Bridge of America's crossing in El Paso, Texas. Not just a few slices, not even just a few pounds. A whopping 150 pounds of the deli meat was seized. Not all meats are prohibited to cross onto American soil, but bologna, because of its pork content, certainly is. When the officers questioned the culprit about the unusually large haul, he told the agents that he was merely carrying frozen rolls of turkey ham. Lies. Officials said the bologna was seized and destroyed, and the driver was released, rumored to be rather peckish without his sandwich filler. In August of 2018, we witnessed one of the strangest border incidents in recent times, as a Texas Volunteer Fire Department SUV was attempting to cross into Mexico at the Falfurrias checkpoint. It was flagged down and ordered to dock for inspection. But immediately after receiving the secondary inspection instructions, the driver put the pedal to the metal, speeding away from the checkpoint and leading police on a high-speed pursuit. You would expect local authorities to comply with border protection. In fact, it was nothing more than a regular car with a few cheap decals and fake lights thrown on it. Anyway, it didn't take long before the fake vehicle was caught. The driver, an American citizen, was trying to smuggle Brazilian nationals who were illegally present in the U.S. out of the country. Believe it or not, this is not the first time that Border Patrol agents have arrested smugglers using fake cars. In 2015, they took down a cloned version of their very own government-issued Border Patrol vehicle, only to find 12 undocumented immigrants crammed inside of it. We all know that weapons are strictly prohibited on planes. Anything remotely sharp tucked into a carry-on bag is perceived as a potential threat, even if, to the carrier, it's nothing more than a decorative piece destined for the mantle. Take one look at the TSA's Instagram page and you'll see what we mean. This pointy, whatever you want to call it, was found by the TSA at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. The sharp knife model is designed as a claw of sorts and fits snug onto the wearer's finger. It was picked up by X-ray machines and, of course, was hastily confiscated. When TSA published the photo, they said, we're pretty sure this isn't a letter opener, a bladed dragon claw perhaps? Whatever it is, it should be packed in checked baggage. Sometimes we find small oddities tucked away in hidden corners of a suitcase. Other times, the things caught by border security are much, much bigger. We're talking like the size of an entire plane. That's right. This small propeller plane touched down at the Sarnia Chris Hadfield Airport in Ontario, Canada, on October 12, 2016. During the border guard's routine inspection, the pilot claimed that he had purchased the aircraft in Canada, which was nothing but a big old pile of bull. It didn't take long for the CBSA to find documentation on board that proved that the man had just purchased it in the United States for $110,000. The man from Woodstock, Ontario, was charged under the Customs Act with failure to declare, as well as attempting to evade the payment of taxes. Unfortunately for him, the plane was seized, and if he wanted to take it back, he would have to pay over 58,000 Canadian dollars for it, on top of the initial purchase. As we wind the clock back all the way to 2002, a British girl who was 17 at the time was caught at Manchester Airport with a very peculiar pet sitting on her head. A number of other passengers swarmed around the girl after they realized that she had a chameleon just chilling out on her headscarf. They were taking photos of her with it. The crowd was growing, and the Border Patrol was clueless as to why. After finally discovering the pet, who had seamlessly blended in with her colorful headscarf, customs officials spoke to reptile experts and concluded that it was an endangered creature, forcing them to confiscate the camouflaging reptile. We all know that chameleons are deceptive color changers, which explains why it managed to subtly sneak past airport security and why it took so long for the authorities to notice the pet in the first place. She wasn't trying to smuggle anything illegally. The creature's natural camouflage simply allowed it to slip under the radar. When Luis Eduardo Valencia was walking through the streets of Tijuana in 2018, his eye caught a glimpse of a cute-as-a-button tiger cub on a leash. He decided he wanted one for himself, and he tried to bring it into the United States. When questioned, Valencia claimed that he was merely a naive 18-year-old who was unaware of American laws regarding importing and exporting wildlife, and that he just wanted to take an adorable jungle cat home and raise it as a pet. During investigation, his phone records told a different story. The evidence on his phone indicated that his characteristics were far more consistent with a junior member of a smuggling organization than an innocent young man who made a youthful error in judgment. Here, judge for yourself. One of the texts was a price list of sorts, stating that, quote-unquote, the Jaguar goes for $8K, and Panthers too, and the Lions go for $5K. The outcome? Valencia was sentenced to 6 months in prison for smuggling the 6-week-old Bengal cub. What's the most expensive thing that you have ever snuck into another country? Wait, don't tell us that. They might be watching. Instead, let us know in the comments down below. Have you heard any other stories of people getting caught and arrested up at the border? What for? That's all for today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thanks so much for checking out The Richest. See you next time. Stay safe and have a great day.